Arthur Conan Doyle was born in Scotland, Edinburgh, on the 22nd of May 1859. He was a physician and writer, best known for his fictional stories about the detective Sherlock Holmes. He studied medicine at the University of Edinburgh and he graduated in 1885. In addition to medicine, Conan Doyle had another passion, literature. At university, he met Professor Joseph Bell, who used to emphasize the importance of details and close observations to make correct medical diagnosis. Thus, Conan Doyle created the most famous consulting detective, drawing inspiration from Professor Bell. After finishing his studies, he went to Portsmouth and he set up a medical practice. In 1885, he married Louise Hawkins, the sister of one of his patients. After her death in 1906 and the death of his son Kingsley, he sank into depression and he sought solace in spiritualism. Arthur Conan Doyle died in 1930, aged 71, due to a heart attack. He wrote 4 novels: A Study in Scarlet, The Sign of the Foe, The Hound of the Baskervilles, The Valley of Fear, and 56 short stories about Sherlock Holmes' adventures. His first significant novel, A Study in Scarlet, was published in 1887. The story features the first meeting between John Watson and Sherlock Holmes. Dr. Watson, an army medic returned to London from Afghanistan, and Holmes are both looking for an inexpensive flat. Thus, after a quick meeting, they decide to share a flat at 221B Baker Street. Holmes reveals to Watson that he is a consulting detective and drags him to a crime scene. A man called Enoch Drebber has been murdered, or better, poisoned, according to Holmes. Beside the body, Holmes discovers a woman's gold wedding ring. Subsequently, Stangerson, Drebber's secretary, is killed by the same person. The ring is the evidence that will betray the murderer, who will be discovered by Holmes while he was attempting to get the object back. The murderer is a coachman, Jefferson Hope, who decided to kill the 2 men to avenge the woman he loved, who was constrained to marry Drebber and died from a broken heart. The stories of Sherlock Holmes were very popular and have been adapted for the stage, movies and television. More than 200 movies about Sherlock Holmes' adventures have been produced, beginning from the short film Sherlock Holmes Baffled in 1900. However, these movies and television series show many differences compared to Arthur Conan Doyle's books. In 2009, the BBC began making Sherlock, a contemporary remake of Arthur Conan Doyle's stories, created by Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss. It concerns 2 seasons of 3 90-minute episodes, broadcast in 2010 and 2012. A 3rd series will be broadcast in 2014. Here, Sherlock Holmes and his assistant, Watson, don't live in Victorian London, but are inserted in the 21st century. I would like to highlight and to compare the first episode of the series called A Study in Pink and Conan Doyle's first novel. In fact, this episode is based on A Study in Scarlet, but the producers decided to introduce several changes, above all due to the insertion in a contemporary age. As the series is set in a modern society, Sherlock Holmes and Watson use new methods to work and solve crimes, such as internet or mobile phones, that, of course, were not mentioned in the novel. The main difference between the two stories is that in A Study in Pink, the murderer is imprisoned thanks to the mobile phone of the victim used to contact the killer, instead of the lost wedding ring that appears in the novel. In addition, the killer in A Study in Scarlet is a coachman, whereas in this episode he is a taxi driver. Also, the endings differ. In the last pages of the novel, it is found out that Jefferson Hope committed murders in revenge, whereas in A Study in Pink, the killer explains at the end that a mysterious man offered him money for each person he killed. Therefore, it is clear that there are numerous differences between the series and the novel, but it is important to stress that in this first episode, the behaviors of Sherlock and Watson are exactly the same as in the book, beginning from the rationality and arrogance of Sherlock to the curiosity and intelligence of Watson. However, many movies have been produced about Sherlock Holmes and his investigations. He has been represented in several styles and in different periods, but the only way to know the real Sherlock Holmes is reading the wonderful books of Arthur Conan Doyle.
The name's Sherlock Holmes and the address is 221B Baker Street. Afternoon.
Yeah, he's always like that.